Our Gospel on this 19th day of December reminds us of God's faithfulness. We hear the well-known story of Zechariah, the father of John the Baptist, who disbelieved the promise that had been made and because of that was struck dumb. We also hear in our first reading a similar story. We are reminded very clearly that what God promises, God will fulfill. And so we know that God promised to send a Messiah to his people, to save his people. And that's what we're preparing to celebrate in this wonderful season of Christmas that we're about to embark on. It's wonderful to hear these stories before we celebrate it, because we are reminded of just what it is that we're preparing to celebrate. And that's a good thing, because it puts us in the right frame of mind to celebrate the fulfillment of God's promise. God is faithful, our scriptures tell us. And so we know that God will be faithful when he says that the world will come to an end at some point in time with the second coming of Jesus. God has promised that. God will be faithful to that promise. And we, as God's people, live in response to that promise. Not as Zechariah does, with some doubt, but with hope that when it comes, we will be found ready and waiting to receive the fullness of God's promise. As we draw closer to the great solemnity of Christmas, I hope and pray that you are reveling in God's promise, a promise that has been fulfilled in the coming of Jesus, a promise that we will celebrate on Christmas Day, and a promise that will ultimately come to fulfillment with the coming of the kingdom which we are charged to be about. And so, to the O antiphon. O stock of Jesse, you stand as a signal for the nations. Kings fall silent before you, whom the peoples acclaim. O come to deliver us, and do not delay.